Good morning, students. Today we are studying one interesting thing about a glass slab. That is refraction through a rectangular glass slab. Refraction through rectangular glass slab. If you are having a glass slab, you can do this in your home. You have to take a glass slab A, B, C, D, a rectangular glass slab, and keep it on a white sheet of paper. Draw the outline. Okay. Then I will explain you what to do. Show that if a ray enters a rectangular glass slab, obliquely means not along the normal, with certain angle with normal, obliquely, and emerges from the opposite face. The emergent ray is parallel to incident ray. What is the meaning of this? Let us draw the diagram, then you will understand. Suppose there is a ray of light incidenting obliquely. A ray of light incidenting obliquely. This is incident ray of light. Let us say it is a PQ. PQ is the incident ray. Draw a normal over there. This is the normal. Extend this normal. Okay. The angle made by incident ray with the normal uses angle of incidence. Then after entering through the glass slab, we know that it undergoes refraction. It bends towards the normal. If you draw undeviated ray, if the slab would not be there, the ray would be continuing to go in this path. This is what we can call it as undeviated path. This would be the path of the ray of light. If slab would not be there, it would be going straight. But since there is a glass slab, the ray will undergo bending. That bending is called as refraction. Suppose this is the refracted ray. I call this refracted ray as QR. QR is the refracted ray. This is incident ray. Always show with the arrow, then only it will show the direction. PQ is the incident ray, QR is the refracted ray. Then you see, when it enters through the glass slab, now it is again coming to the other face. This is the opposite face. So CD is the opposite face. So when it comes to the CD, what happens? Again it refracts away, because this you can call it as air medium, and you can call this air medium as medium number 1. This is glass medium. Medium number 2. Again it is entering into air medium. Air medium, that is medium number 1. So it is entering from denser into rarer. Therefore it bends away from the normal. So you draw normal at this interface. So DC or CD is called as interface separating glass from air. Draw one normal here. Okay, so you can call this QM as one normal, RN as normal at R. Now at the point of interface, at this point R, we have drawn a normal. Now it bends away from the normal. When it bends away from the normal, you see interestingly, this becomes the emergent ray. This is RS. So PQ QR, RS. If the glass slab would not have been there, the ray would have gone straight away. So the question is, if the ray enters a glass slab, obliquely with certain angle, it emerges from the opposite side. The emergent ray is parallel to incident ray. You have to prove that this RS is called as emergent ray. This emergent ray RS is parallel to incident ray, that is PQ produced. Means the perpendicular distance between them is always constant. This is what you have to prove. So let us see the refraction at the edge AB. AB is the interface separating air and glass. When PQ makes an angle of incidence I with the normal, you see QR is the refracted ray. It makes an angle of refraction. Let us call this angle of refraction as R1. So RQM is the angle of refraction. So when it reaches this point R on another interface CD separating glass from air, again refraction takes place. It bends away from the normal. So this becomes the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence by QR with the normal. See, normal is R here. So this we can call it as R2. Angle R2. Then the angle made by the refracted ray RS with the normal, let us call this one as angle of emergence. So here you can write PQ is incident ray and QR is refracted ray. RS is emergent ray. You have to prove that this RS is parallel to PQ produced. That's it. Geometrically, one has to prove this. Geometrically as well as Snell's law, what we have studied. Okay. Now, from this geometry, look at these normals. QM normal and RM normal. These are the perpendiculars drawn to the rectangular faces at M and R respectively. So are they not parallel to each other? So QM and RM are parallel to each other. Therefore, angle R1 becomes equal to angle R2. Alternative interior angles. Alternative interior angles are equal. From the diagram, QM normal is parallel to RN. Therefore, angle R1, angle of refraction R1 is equal to angle R2. Alternative angles. Alternative angles are equal. Now let us apply Snell's law at this interface AB. At the interface AB, applying Snell's law, I can define what is refractive index of glass medium with respect to air. So I can call it as refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. Refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. By definition, it is sine of I by sine of R. But here the angle of refraction is R1. Sine I by sine R1. Next, you see, add the another interface. Another interface is DC. At the interface CD or DC, I can define refractive index of air with respect to glass or refractive index of 1 with respect to 2. Because ray is entering from denser into rarer, so it bends away from the normal. So refractive index of rarer medium with respect to denser medium. N1, 2, refractive index of first medium with respect to second medium. So again I can define sine of angle of incidence. What is the angle of incidence here? Angle of incidence here is R2. Sine R2 by Sine angle of refraction here is angle of refraction is E. So it becomes sine E. Previously we have come to know that if N12 is a sine R2 by sine E, N21 becomes sine E by R2. Sine E by sine R2. This implies I can write N21 is equal to just the inverse of this refractive index of second with respect to first. Using this I can write N21 is equal to sine E by sine R2. What is the reason? Because N12 is equal to 1 by N21. So inverse of this becomes sine E by sine R2. So call this equation 1. This equation has 2. So using 1 and 2, what do you observe? From equation 1 and equation 2, look at this. Sin I by sin R1 is equal to sin E by sin R2. Sin I by sin R1, sin I by sin R1 is equal to sin E by sin R2. But you look at the denominator. R1 angle is equal to angle R2. Angle R1 is equal to angle R2. Therefore, denominator is same. Since angle R1 is equal to angle R2, therefore sin R1 is equal to sin R2. This implies sin E must be equal to sin I. So this implies sin I is equal to sin R. So that is angle of incidence I is equal to angle of refraction. This is emergence. Sin I is equal to sin E. Sin I is equal to sin E. So therefore angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence. So if angle of incidence is equal to angle of emergence, then by the property of parallel lines, you see these are I think corresponding angles. So if these angles are equal, then the rays must be parallel to each other. Thus PQ produced is parallel to RS. Thus form geometry of the figure. PQ produced is parallel to RS. Therefore, we proved the emergent ray is parallel to incident ray. Thus, emergent ray, the emerging ray from the glass slab from the other side, emergent ray is parallel to incident ray. Parallel to incident ray. So this is very important. So as I said, you can do this activity in your home. You can take a glass slab, take a white sheet of paper and keep it on a smooth board surface. Fix this white sheet of paper. Then on this white sheet of paper, you keep this glass slab and draw the outline with the help of pencil. You must have some pins. Then draw one ray with the help of pencil. Draw one ray with the help of pencil. Call that one as PQ. Keep two pins here. I am drawing pins. Suppose you are keeping one pin. Fix that pin in that board. So board should be smooth enough. One pin here, another pin here with some 2 cm or 3 cm distance between them. They should be fixed perpendicular. Then keeping the glass slab here, in the same position of the outline, keeping the glass slab. Look from this side look from the other opposite face. When you look through the opposite face CD, then you will find the path PQ. The path PQ will be seen as the path RS. Then take the third pin, and third pin, if you fix it, it will be like this. Take one more pin, looking at the same path again, without changing any direction, without changing any deviation. You fix that fourth pin so that pin number 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3 will be seen in the same line. It looks as if all the 3 pins are looking as if it is single pin. So if you observe this from this side, it will be a beautiful emergent ray. Then you take out these 2 pins, mark these points, and draw the line passing through these 2 pins. Then take out the glass slab, extend this PQ. When you extend this PQ, you see this extended PQ becomes the undivided path. Then RS, you draw this RS passing through these 2 pin holes. Draw this RS becomes the emergent ray. Then if you draw the normal here and normal here, then if you measure the angle, whatever the angle of incidence that you have taken, suppose you have taken angle of incidence as 30 degree, angle of emergence is also going to be exactly 30 degree. That's how, by doing an activity, you can verify whether the angle of emergence and angle of incidence are equal or not. Once they are equal, then you can measure this perpendicular distance. Measure this perpendicular distance. You call this perpendicular distance as some other distance. I have taken M. You can call this as M and O. RO, this perpendicular distance remains same throughout. That shows that RS and undivided path PQ are parallel to each other. So this is how, with the help of activity, we can confirm that incident ray and the emergent ray are parallel to each other. Okay, now let us learn the next important, that is refraction through spherical lenses. Refraction through spherical lenses. What do you mean by a spherical lens, or simply called as a lens? A lens is a transparent material which is bound on both sides by spherical surfaces. Both sides by either spherical surfaces, or at least one side a spherical surface, another side may be a plane surface. So a transparent medium which is bound on both sides by spherical surfaces, or at least one side spherical surface and the other side plane surface, is called as a spherical lens. There are various types of spherical lenses. This is called double convex lens. Convex means bulged out surface. When both the surfaces are bulged outwards, you see, it is called as a double convex lens. This is called double concave lens. Both the surfaces are bulged inwards. If both the surfaces are bulged outwards, they are called double convex lens. Double convex, or simply called as convex lens. If both the surfaces are bulged inwards, look at this. If these surfaces are bulged inwards, this is called as double concave. And here you can see one surface bulged outside, another surface is plane. One surface plane, another surface bulged outside. It is called plano-convex. Plano-convex. Similarly, you can see one surface plane, another surface bulged inwards. Bulged inwards means it is concave. One side plane, so it is called plano-concave. Plano-concave lens. And you can see here one surface bulged outwards, another surface bulged inwards. One surface you can see bulged outwards, another surface with respect to this bulged inwards. So this is convexo-concave. Convexo-concave lens. So in general, lens is a transparent material which is bound on both the surfaces by spherical surfaces, or at least one spherical surface and the other one plane surface. A transparent medium which is bound by two spherical surfaces or one spherical surface and another plane surface is called as a spherical lens. Why is it called a spherical lens? Because the surfaces which are bounding, the surfaces which are covering, they are spherical. So these are the part of the spherical surfaces. You must have observed in the market when you go for watch repair, the watchmaker will be wearing one lens in his eye, will be wearing a thick glass in his eye and observing the fine tiny parts of that watch. And you must have used the magnifying glass for viewing the map lines, the fine details of the map for map reading. Or you must have viewed small parts of a flower with the help of magnifying glass. And the spectacles what we use, these are also lenses. So lenses find a lot of applications in our day-to-day life. The magnifying glass the watchmaker uses is nothing but a double convex lens. Double convex lens is the one which magnifies. When you take that convex lens close to the writing material, like a print material, the words appear enlarged, the words appear bigger. So it is acting as a magnifying glass. So like that, these other type of lenses also find applications in spectacles. It's very essential to learn about the refraction through such lenses. Okay. Now first, this convex lens. Why is it called as convex lens? Because both surfaces which are binding this are bulged outwards, and if you allow a ray of light to pass through, a ray of light when it falls on such a convex lens, suppose this is a parallel beam of light. I told you parallel beam of light. What is the meaning of a beam of light? Bunch of parallel rays. The bunch of parallel rays form a parallel beam of light. So I am drawing bunch of 3 rays. Easy to understand. Then you see, after refraction, this is what we are going to call it as optic axis. After refraction, these rays are converging to a point. These rays are converging to a point. So, parallel incident rays, parallel beam of incident rays. After refraction, you see they bend towards a point and they form a point image, and this point is called as focus. This is called as focus. and you see it is having two curved surfaces. If you call this one as M, N, and if you call this one as A and B, MAB is one curved surface, MAN is one curved surface, convex towards left, MBN is another curved surface, convex towards right. So therefore it is also called as double convex lens. Okay, then it will be having two foci. Plural of focus is called as foci. F1 and F2. F1 for the first surface towards left, F2 for the second surface towards the right. So it will be having two focal points, two principal foci, F1 and F2. And similarly it will be having two radii of curvature, because this spherical surface MAN is, if you just imagine, this is part of a sphere. This is part of a sphere. MAN is a part of a sphere, out of which this is part. Then it will be having its own radius. So MAN has got one radius. Similarly, MBN also has got another radius. Accordingly, it will be having two center of curvatures, C1 and C2. Two foci, F1 and F2. It will be having two center of curvatures, C1 and C2. That we will see later. Now, since it is converging the rays, you see, converging means focusing the rays. It is called as converging lens. So convex lens is also called as converging lens. You must have played with convex lens. If you take a convex lens and hold it to the direction of sun, please don't hold the convex lens. Don't look at the sun. Don't look at the sun through convex lens. It is going to be very, very dangerous. So focus the convex lens towards the sun and hold a paper close to the convex lens. At one particular point, if you hold, that point becomes bright point and that paper starts burning with smoke. What exactly happens there? When you focus that convex lens towards the sun rays are converged, and all the converged rays after refraction, they form image at that point on the paper. That is the point image of the entire sun. I think you got the point. So point image of the entire sun. Since the rays of sun, solar rays or sun rays are also having heat, so all the rays, when they converge together, they will be able to burn the paper. At what point they are making the sharp image of the sun, that point is exactly called as the focus. It is called as focus. Now this is converging lens. Then another type of lens, that it is double concave lens. If you draw a double concave lens, this is also having two curvatures. Therefore, it is also having two foci. So, if you draw a ray of light, a parallel beam of light for this, then interestingly, this is going to form we just show here. Now, if you draw a parallel beam of light for this, incident parallel beam of light for this, since they are falling on the concave surfaces, so the one which I am drawing passing through the exact central line, this central plane, this is called as optic axis. MN is the optic axis, like that here you can take MN as the optic axis. Okay, that will be helpful for drawing the ray diagrams. Now, if you draw a principal axis, as I said earlier, principal axis is the line which passes through which passes through the center of the lens. Center of the lens is called as optic center, and this principal axis also passes through the center of curvature, focus and the optic center. Such a line which passes through the focus, optic center and the center of curvature is called as principal axis. You see, interestingly, when you draw this is how you are going to get the divergence. The rays are getting diverged. You can just continue here for the convenience. Okay. From the optics axis, if you draw the divergence, this is how the ray gets diverged, and this diverged ray appears to have come from one point. This diverged ray appears to have come from one point. That point is the focus of this F1, the focal point, principal focus of this concave lens, and this is how it is getting diverged. Similarly, another ray, if you continue this, after incidenting here, you continue up to optic axis. That will be easy to draw the diagram, convenient to draw the diagram. Then, after refraction, the ray is again diverging away. This diverged ray appears to have come from a point. This point is called as principal focus. So this is the diverged ray. Okay. So since the rays after refraction get diverged, therefore this is called diverging lens. Okay. Now mainly we are studying the image formation by a convex lens and image formation by concave lens. As we have studied mirror formula, we are going to study lens formula and images, how the convex lens makes real images and how the diverging lens, that is concave lens, makes virtual images. All these things we are going to study in detail. So you need to learn how to draw the ray diagram. So a parallel beam of light after incidenting on a convex lens, it converges to a point. That point is called as principal focus. Whereas a parallel beam of light after incidenting on a concave lens, the parallel beam of light after refraction gets diverged, but that diverged beam of light appears to have emerged from that point. The point from where it appears to have diverged, that point is called principal focus of concave lens. So in the next session, we will learn how to draw the ray diagram for the formation of images by convex lens and for the formation of images by concave lens. Thank you. Have a good day.